Laser sights enhance and maintain your accuracy in a time of crisis, preventing tunnel vision and allowing quick target acquisition in awkward shooting positions. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
#1 national voice in defense of your Second Amendment rights. Gun Talk, available on iTunes and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for Android and iPhone. To be on the air with Tom, call us now, 866-825-5486 or 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
Today we are talking about this incredible decision out of the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals supporting Maryland's ban on semi-automatic rifles, what they would like to call assault weapons. But of course, we know they're not. But in this case, and this is the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, this is the appeals court right before you get to the Supreme Court. The court said these are weapons of war, and the Second Amendment has no ability to regulate weapons of war. Well, there are many things wrong with it. Of course, that's exactly what the Second Amendment regulates. That is exactly what the Second Amendment protects, which is firearms that are suitable for defense. Traditionally, historically, for defense against the country, against the government. Yeah, I know, it makes people really, really nervous. I get that. Also, it's for defense against attackers. And since the AR-15 rifle is the most popular rifle being made in America, it's owned by millions upon millions upon millions of people who use them safely, responsibly, lawfully, and they essentially don't really factor much into crime. The number of people who are killed with rifles is actually lower than the number of people who are killed by fists and feet. Fists and feet. But the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals says, nope, these are extraordinarily dangerous weapons. And they also said, and this is where your head starts spinning around, the difference between a semi-auto and a full auto is slight. Beg your pardon? Well, for years and years, that's been the difference between legal and non-legal. But if you don't have the paperwork on your full automatic gun, hardly slight. Huh. So, how did we get to this point? Well, I would say that one of the ways we got to this point was the dishonesty of the media for the last 30 years of telling people that semi-automatic means full automatic. Of CNN, every time they talked about the 1994 Clinton gun ban, the so-called assault weapons ban, and they talked about semi-autos, they showed video of full auto. And they did it thousands of times, and they knew the difference, and they knew they were wrong, and it was pointed out to them over and over again. And they made up quotes. They quoted one guy at the FBI as saying that semi-automatic rifles are used in a huge number of crimes and murders. Fortunately, they named him by name. So I went and found the guy at the FBI. And I said, well, what's the deal? I talked to him. When CNN asked you about this, why did you tell him that? We know it's not true. He said, no one from CNN has ever talked to me. I said, what? He said, I've never talked to anybody from CNN. They made it all up. So we have decades now of the media lying about this. So the people, they don't know any different. They think it's true. They think a semi-auto is the same as a machine gun. They think the Second Amendment doesn't really mean what it means because they've been told that by the media. I mean, latest example, this story comes out this past week. Okay, go ahead and take some aspirin or some Excedrin or something right now because your head's going to explode. The story starts off, what happens when guns are present at the scene of domestic disputes but not fired? It's a slice of gun research that's, quote, largely invisible, says Susan Sorensen, a public health professor at University of Pennsylvania who specializes in gun violence. Let me go over that again. What they want to study is the role of guns that are not fired. In domestic violence, when a gun is not used, what's the role of the gun? I'm sorry? What? If a gun is present but it's not used, this is something we need to study. And the media reports this without laughing at it. It is truly a case of the public has been lied to so often they actually believe this stuff. And that seeps into the courts because they're reading this stuff over and over in the New York Times and the Washington Post and hearing it on CNN and watching these bogus, fake, phony, made-up lies over and over again. And so eventually what they know to be true are things that simply are not true. But they have seen them so often, they couldn't even tell you how they know it. They just know that assault weapons are machine guns. They just know that nobody ever uses those for hunting. They just know that nobody should be allowed to own them. And so that's how we end up where we are today. And it's the essence of the Truth Squad that we created, where every time we see the media lying about this stuff, we correct them on it. We call them on it. We call them down on it. And we try to unleash holy hell upon them. We call them the liars that they are. And fortunately, we have ways to do that with the comment sections in many places. If it's a TV station, we have the FCC licensing avenue also. But that's how we have gotten to where we are today. And it's why every single one of us has to be on board in this fight. Because it is a constant drumbeat every day. What's the role of guns that are not fired in domestic violence? There is no role! Are you kidding me? They weren't fired. They weren't a factor. They weren't used. They just happened to be there. Well, we need to study this, you know. Public health, don't you know? Guns as a virus, don't you know? Hey, when we come back, we're going to be talking with Kent and Gold Beach. Don't go anywhere. We've got Joe lined up. We've got some room for a lot of you right here. 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. Or just dial Tom Talk Gun. We'll be right back.
Face it, sometimes more is better. That's the idea behind the double-stack, full-capacity pistols from Springfield Armory. From the groundbreaking XD to the ergonomic XDM to the latest refinements in the XD Mod 2 series, you can get subcompact, midsize, and full-size pistols in 9, 40, and 45. Carry, target, or tactical models. Fast, accurate, dependable. Don't come up short when it matters. Go full cap. Go Springfield Armory. Springfield-Armory.com.
If you're like me, you don't have money to burn, but you still want to buy guns, ammo, and accessories. That's why we created Gun Dealio. That's a free smartphone app. Just download it and start getting the deals. Could be discounts, offers of free magazines for your gun, or you could be the first to hear about new stuff from gun makers. Here's how it works. With Gun Dealio on your phone, you get alerts when you enter a gun store. Special deals, you know. You don't have to do a thing. It'll do a lot of other cool things, like let you watch gun videos and listen to Gun Talk podcast. Plus, check it anytime for hundreds of deals and offers. Getting more while spending less. Smart, huh? Gun Dealio. Made in America. Gluten-free. At the App Store and Google Play or GunDealio.com.
There's only one place where you can buy that firearm you've always wanted and turn it into your very own. That place is Brownells.com. Now offering a huge selection of firearms from all your favorite brands. Brownells is the spot to buy online. When you're choosing your gun, be sure to look over the enormous selection of parts, accessories, ammo, and more to make that firearm your masterpiece. Brownells.com. Serious about firearms.
Oh, by the way, we were talking earlier about what do you do with your guns when you're going to be out in the really, really cold or snowy conditions. And I was mentioning taping over the barrel of your rifle when you're hunting if you're in the snow, because you can very, very easily get snow up the barrel of your gun, your muzzle, without knowing about it. And if it's stuck in there, you get a big old plug of snow, it turns to ice, whatever, and you fire the gun, you have an obstruction in the barrel, you could blow up your barrel. So what I do is I put a piece of electrician's tape over the muzzle, and just leave it there. When you shoot, it'll go right through there. It's not an issue, but it will keep snow from getting up there. And one of my friends shoots me a text. He says, well, how about lubing your gun? Well, yeah. There have been a lot of deer and elk have owed their lives to the fact that people didn't pay attention to the lube in their bolt-action rifles, especially. Inside the bolt, there's a spring that pushes the firing pin forward. If it is full of grease and it's really cold outside, that grease will get more and more congealed, more solid, and it can slow down the firing pin to where you get a light primer strike and it doesn't fire the cartridge. So what should you do? If you're going to be hunting in the cold, take the bolt apart. If you don't know how, get your gunsmith to do it. Take it apart, degrease it, maybe light oil, a light gun oil, not grease, maybe even just graphite, but not much in there, very, very little. You don't need a lot of grease in there, and could save your hunt. Let's go to line 3. Joe is in Katy, Texas. Joe, you're on Gun Talk.
How you doing? I got a question on a 204 Ruger.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a pretty sweet shooting little cartridge?
Yeah. Well, what rifle are you thinking about getting it in?
Well, I'm going to put another blame on you because I bought me a barrel today for a 204 Ruger for another AR-15.
You already bought it, didn't you dog?
Yeah, I did. It was a pretty good price at a gun show, so.
Okay, you tell me. You already bought this thing. Why'd you buy it?
Because I ain't got one.
That's a great reason. I love that one. Well, I didn't have one, so I had to get one. There you go. 204 Ruger.
Mountain narrow. Go climb it.
Yeah, that's it. It's up there. So what are you thinking? What are you going to do with a 204 Ruger?
Just shoot it for fun. Just shooting targets. I might just be the squirrel gun from hell.
Yeah, but you better head shoot him because it'll blow him to heck. That's not a rimfire. That's a real high velocity center fire. Shooting a 20 caliber bullet instead of a 22. Shooting really light bullets. That would be a really good prairie dog, rock chuck, ground chuck, and it would be a really good coyote cartridge. Sure, I guess you could shoot squirrels with it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to be shooting up in trees with a rifle that goes that far. Cartridge that goes that far. That's one issue. But yeah, for varminting, fabulous, and you'll get a little bit less recoil than you could do even out of a 223, and that's kind of nice when you want to see your hits through the scope.
Yeah, I just bought it just because, like I say, I don't have one. I don't do much hunting because it's so expensive. But I got two more. I got one more now, 223 left on the lower to fill it up with. So
okay. Well, look, the 204 is a great cartridge. Congratulations. I kind of had a feeling maybe you were sandbagging me. You already had one. Good luck with that. You're going to have some fun. Hey, Reed's with us out of St. Louis, Missouri. Reed, you have an interesting idea here. What are we looking at?
Well, let's start with Congress first.
Mm-hmm.
And Congress acquiesced to the complaint of several state governors who, having had their National Guard federalized, then suffered floods and disasters and tornadoes. And the governor said, gee, when you strip us of our National Guard, we have no one left at home to assist the people when disasters happen.
Mm-hmm.
So Congress said, you're right, and at 32 United States Code Section 109, authorized all the states, the District of Columbia, and the Commonwealth of the United States to have defense forces separate from the National Guard, which can never be federalized.
Huh.
This is the state militia. The governor is the commander-in-chief. So, in Missouri, the existing statute is that all residents between the ages of 17 and 64 are automatically in the unorganized militia. And the governor may, by executive order, at any time, as commander-in-chief, muster the militia and transfer them from the unorganized portion to this 32 United States Code Section 109, what we call in Missouri the Reserve Military Force.
All right, hold on a second here, Reed. Let me see. I'm going to try to catch up. See if I got this. There is a provision in the federal law that allows states to have organized militia that's not the National Guard. In Missouri, the law is that all adults between the ages of 17 and 64 are in the unorganized militia. So whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, if you're in Missouri, if you're between the ages of 17 and 64, you are already in the militia, and the governor has the ability to call up people who are in this militia and change them from the unorganized to the organized militia, and now they are basically serving under the governor for the good of the state. How am I doing so far?
You are perfect. The state legislature enacted in Chapter 41, Military Affairs, the Reserve Military Force at 41.090 and described their duties at 41.050. 41.050 says the governor can muster the Reserve Military Force and use it inside the state or external to the state as he shall deem fit. Plus, they respond to floods, tornadoes, et cetera, so they have a military mission as well as a disaster mission.
Let me jump in here, Reed, because I want to point out to people, one of the things that's going on here is that the president, well, we're going to get deeply into politics here, but there are times when the president has withheld the ability of the use of the National Guard for political purposes when the state needed it for floods, fire, that type of thing. And this, what you're describing, is a way to make sure that the states have their own rapid response forces, irrespective and independent from the National Guard. Is that it?
That is correct.
Okay. So bottom line this for me. What does all this mean for us right now today?
This means that we need to lean on our state legislatures to puff the 32 United States Code Section 109 state militia. For instance, Obama has parked outside of Jacksonville, Florida, 4,000 armored cars painted white with United Nations markings on them. We need Trump to, by order of Commander-in-Chief, disperse these through the 32 United States Code Section 109 state militias.
Very interesting. It gets a bit complicated. It's hard to deal. Frankly, there's some things that are just they're a bit too complicated to do on the radio, but I think I've followed you. This is fascinating. It is worth looking into because I can tell you, as a resident of the state of Louisiana, we have seen how politics can get involved in whether or not the National Guard shows up and what you can do with them, and the governor's hollering for help. Of course, the governor has to say, "Mother, may I?" to get the National Guard involved, to get rescue forces involved. We have said along, and here's the thing people may not understand. All along, everybody, at least the way the law is written federally, every able-bodied man between the ages of, I think it's 17 and it was 34 originally, was automatically in the militia, and that goes back 200 years. So for those who say, well, the militia this, the militia that, no, sorry, you're in the militia. What? Yeah, you just didn't know it. Here's an interesting one. Remember in Chicago, where they lost the Eazell case, where they said that Chicago said, well, yeah, okay, you beat us on the McDonald case, you beat us on these other cases, and now we can't ban guns, but we're going to require you to have training before you can have a gun. Oh, but by the way, we're going to ban shooting ranges. So now you can't get the training you need to be able to get the gun. Oh, yeah. Well, we shut that down. Went to court. We won that one. There's a little place in New Jersey, Ramsey. It's I guess the borough of Ramsey. It's decided that it's going to ban shooting ranges. There's somebody who wants to come in and build a 60,000 square foot shooting range, 67 lanes, and the city council is going, nope. We're going to ban. You know what? Here's the deal. Keep and bear arms. Part of that is being able to use them. You can't ban shooting ranges. We've already gone down that road. They're looking at massively protracted and expensive legal bills that they will lose. And further, because it's civil rights, they will have to pay the legal fees of the people who sue them. It could bankrupt the borough, but they are so dug in. But what's interesting about this, I'm looking at the story about this. This is Ramsey, New Jersey. And looking at the comments to the story. And this is where it gets really interesting. people are saying, well, nobody needs 67 lanes, shooting lanes. 20 would be enough. What? How would you know that? Well, I don't know if they think that there just aren't that many people, or that for some reason more than 20 would be, I don't know, objectionable, offensive, dangerous. I don't know. People who say, well, and then they'll say, well, we don't want to have a shooting range in that part of town because, that's where people shop. It's an indoor shooting range. You will be able to walk by the outside of it. You'll never hear a gunshot going off there. I want to refer them to the whole concept of the Country Club. Over the last 10 years, we've had all these shooting ranges pop up that are high-end, upscale, places where people go for date nights. They go for their anniversary parties. They go with families. You will see the same people there who you'll see when you go to the doctor's office. You'll see your lawyer, your doctor. You'll see your friends, your neighbors. You'll see soccer moms there. You will see people who are just like you and people who maybe are not just like you, which is even a better thing in many times. The idea that you would ban shooting ranges, is just wrong. And frankly, it's illegal. So there you go. It's going to be interesting to watch this thing. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is part of the bigger movement where we have to push back, we have to fight back. And when you get a little borough like this, you simply say, no, I'm sorry, you don't get to do that. Yes, I will sue you. And this is where you need, by the way, you don't want to do this on your own, just to strike out and do this. You need the help of a good attorney who understands this. And you need a civil rights attorney who understands the law on this. And when Alan Gura is explaining this to me, he says, look, this is civil rights litigation. And there are certain rules here, and there are certain ways you do that. And if you do it right, you win, and you win big, and they have to pay your expenses. But sometimes some of our guys just jump up and go, yeah, we'll challenge that. I got, my buddy over here is a lawyer. Maybe not such a good idea. Because what you don't want to do is challenge it and lose and set that precedent. But we have to challenge these every time they pop up, and they're popping up everywhere. That's why each of you has to be a soldier on the front of this great battle to protect our Second Amendment rights. 866-TALK-GUN.
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
All right, back with the 866-TALK-GUN. Get you in. Interesting article I'm looking at online. Interesting idea. The idea has been tossed out that President Donald Trump, should issue an executive order that lists certain semi-automatic rifles as militia rifles. That is basically staking out the ground that says, look, states, you can't regulate these guns because through the militia clause, these are the guns that citizens of the United States need to have available to them for service in the unorganized militia. Now, this would be intended as a stopgap measure, but it would serve notice on the courts and on states and on cities that want to regulate semi-automatic rifles, regulate as in ban them. It'd be interesting. I don't know if Trump would do it. Don't know if we could get the information to him. I don't know if it's a good idea. Just saw this, but it's fascinating. I like the concept, okay? All right, let's go to line one. Lee's with us out of Anderson County, Kentucky. Hello, Lee.
Hello, Tom. Kentucky residents who listen to your show need to call their state representatives and senators and tell them to pass Senate Bill 7, which will legalize permitless concealed carry in Kentucky. Can I give the phone number for the legislative switchboard?
You bet.
Okay, 502-564-8100. Again?
Okay, let me give that out again. That's 504-564-8100.
No.
502.
No.
502.
502.
Yeah, 502. 502-564-8100.
That's correct.
Okay, what's going on? This is the constitutional carry measure?
Yes, that's what it'll do. No more concealed carry licenses needed to carry in Kentucky.
Okay, excellent. All right, so what am I seeing here? Something about the Fast and Fancy revolver shooting book?
Ed McGivern's book got reprinted in 2004 by an outfit called Skyhorse Press. And the title under which they reprinted it is Ed McGivern's Book of Fast and Fancy Revolver Shooting.
I know Skyhorse Publishing. I used to work at some of the principals at Skyhorse Publishing back when I was at Sports Afield magazine. For those who don't know, Ed McGivern was a little, short, unassuming guy who was an absolute blinding whiz with revolvers, shooting them one at a time or two at a time. I think Bill Jordan referenced him in his book, No Second Place Winner. And McGivern is the fellow who Jerry Miculek studied to develop his incredible speed with a revolver. This is very cool.
So the book was reprinted in 2004. I got my copy from an outfit called Edward Hamilton, and I don't know anymore whether it's still available, but a 14-year-old paperback is probably easier to get than an 80-year-old hardback.
I'm just looking on Amazon. It is currently available in paperback for $16.46. Available through Prime on your Amazon. So it's called Ed McGivern's Book of Fast and Fancy Revolver Shooting, and I've got one of the original hardcover editions, and it is a great book. You can learn a lot about shooting. So I appreciate that. That is excellent information. I appreciate that. If you don't have it, if you are at all interested in just firearms in general, but particularly self-defense with handguns, you also ought to try to get a copy of Bill Jordan's book. The title of it, maybe the best title ever for a gunfighting book, is No Second Place Winner. And you can poke around, you can find that too. Craig, don't go anywhere. I'm going to get to you when I come back. I got to take a quick break. 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun. Be right back.
Smith & Wesson Performance Center firearms combine old world hand craftsmanship with modern technology. Carry comfortably and confidently with Performance Center pistols and revolvers. Or take aim with their fine-tuned modern sporting rifles. For unique designs and special features, experienced shooters look to the Performance Center for all their firearms needs. Performance Center by Smith & Wesson. Performance when it matters most. For more, go to smith-wesson.com/PC.
Laser sights increase confidence, regardless of experience level. Whether you're learning the fundamentals, a seasoned shooter, or simply overcoming aging eyes, laser sights provide instant feedback, providing immediate confidence and enjoyment for a new shooter. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our laser training video, The Laser's Edge, and learn more about why Crimson Trace is making laser sights standard equipment.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. shopguntalk.com.
Built to perform in the harshest conditions, the Ruger American pistol can take it all, from ice to dust and everything in between. The Ruger American pistol features a short take-up trigger, Novak sights, and a recoil-reducing barrel cam with low-mass slide for reduced felt recoil. Plus, a modular grip system with 3 sizes to fit almost any hand. Check it out at Ruger.com. The Ruger American pistol, because anything else would be un-American.
Back with you, going straight to line 2. Craig is in Boise, Idaho. Hello, Craig.
Hey, good day, Tom. I have a couple of Winchester Model 94s in 375 big bore.
Nice.
And finding ammunition for that is just about impossible.
Mm-hmm.
One of our local ammunition loaders here in the state says that he builds 3855 Winchester ammunition, and it can be used in the 375 big bores with no ill effects. Do you know anything about this?
That is generally true, as long as he's staying within reasonable pressures, probably 3,800. I think it's using cups with that copper units of pressure, which is about the same as a 30-30. Probably using lead bullets, because one of the issues is the bore size. What you end up with is the 375 Winchester uses a bore size of 375, and the 3855 uses a bullet that's 377. It's like a 0.02 of a inch difference. Not a big deal. With low pressures, that bullet will swage or slug down. It'll work just fine. So if you're particularly if you're shooting just lead bullets, not necessarily hard cast, but lead bullets, should work absolutely fine, and it's a great way to make use of that old 375 rifle you have.
Okay, well, I'll give it a try. The ammunition isn't cheap, and getting it here isn't cheap either, but I guess it's better than not having any.
I was just looking on the Buffalo Bore website, and they have it. They've got a whole thing on their website all about using 3855 in the 375. So if you want to look, have you seen that website, by the way?
That's where I got the information from. That's where the question came from.
Okay, excellent. By the way, I'm just up the road from you at the moment, sitting here in Cascade getting snowed on all over the place.
Oh, what a beautiful thing.
It is. I do love Idaho.
It is. It's great.
It is. Well, yeah, that should work just fine. I would go with that and not worry about it. It looks like they know what they're doing. I appreciate the call, Craig. William's on 3 out of Livermore, California. Interesting idea. You doing a little bit of traveling, William?
That's my hope. Well, as you mentioned, I'm in California, looking to do travel anywhere from 3 months to a year, and I have long guns and pistols, and we might sell our house just to make this happen. What do I do with my guns in the meanwhile?
So you may sell your house, so you're not going to have a place to keep your guns. It being California, if you give them to a relative, and you may have to bring me up to speed on this, would you have to do a transfer for them just to hold on to your guns for you?
I'm not sure. I think so. And
right. What I would do?
Family.
Okay. Find a really good gun store and say, look, I would like for you to have. How many guns are we talking about? Do we have a rough idea? Are we talking a dozen? Are we talking 100?
Oh, no. We're talking shotgun, 22 rifle, and 3 or 4 pistols.
Love it. Okay. Take them in for cleaning and don't come back and get them for a year.
Ooh. Now, it sounds like something I need to actually have a longer discussion with them, because most places say if you don't pick things up within X number of weeks or days or months,
yeah, of course,
they do something with them. So
I understand, but you go in and say, look, here's what I'm doing. You say, look, I'm going to travel. I need to have them sit somewhere while I'm gone. I want to give them to you. How can I do this? Yeah, you could pay them a storage fee, whatever. Yeah, that's probably the only reason they say, yeah, you say, look, I'd like for you to clean them, and I understand there's going to be a little additional storage fee. What would that be? And I'll be back in a year. And, you may have to go to 2 or 3 places, but you'll find somebody that will say, oh, yeah, okay, we got you covered. If we're talking about a few guns, we can handle that. I'll bet you it'll work out.
I like that. You mentioned that for people who go into Canada, maybe try to find someone near the border to do that same kind of thing. I like that idea. Thank you.
You bet. Exactly. Well, good luck with it. Yeah, what William was talking about is if you're traveling cross country and you end up having to go into Canada and you have guns with you and you can't take them into Canada, where are you going to put them? What are you going to do? Well, and this was Michelle's idea. Our call screener, Michelle Cleveland, who does such a great job with everything, she says, look, take them to a gun store and drop them off for cleaning. You'll be back in a week or 2 when you come back from Canada. Pick them up. So you go, brilliant. I love it. It's such a simple idea. Leave it to somebody who does this for a living to come up with something like that. So it makes all the sense in the world. As we talk about self-defense with guns, it's interesting. The more you talk to people, the more I find more and more people are adopting, maybe that's not the right word. They're making the decision. They're coming to a point through whatever means to decide to take care of themselves. Now, what I find is that the commitment level varies completely all over the place. Some just say, well, I bought a gun. And for them, that's enough. Others go full-fledged, and they're going to go to all the shooting schools out there. Somewhere between those two is probably where most people are going to fall. And toward that end, you, because you're listening to Gun Talk, more than likely are an influencer. You are somebody who people ask your opinion. What do they start off with, right? Every time, I want to get a gun for self-defense. What gun do I get? How many times have you been asked that? What gun should I get? Well, stop. Let's back up. You know the drill. We're going to go through the whole thing. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to keep it? Is it for the home? Are you going to carry it? Is it going to be in the car? Well, and then you get the pushback. Well, I'm probably not going to carry it. Okay. Low level of commitment. Got it. Okay, but if it's for the home, that's fine. Then we can start talking about that. What I would offer is that for you to become a better influencer, to help people out with this process, is figuring out where in your area you would send somebody for training. Because people always say, well, where can I go? Well, you know what? They ask me, I don't know. If you're in Allentown, Pennsylvania, I don't know where to send you. But if you live in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and somebody who lives in Allentown asks you, then you can say, well, look, here's where you ought to go. And I know what you do. You do the same thing I do. Yes, I'd be happy to take you out. Let's go shooting. Yesterday, I took a friend out. He was reluctant to shoot his little airweight Smith & Wesson with heavy loads. Yeah, who isn't? That only shows that you've got some brains, because after you've shot a cylinder full of those, it's just not fun anymore. I use the analogy, you've heard me say it, of a cherry bomb going off in your hand. It's just not fun. And then you say, well, I can't hit anything with this. Yeah, well, they are harder to shoot well, short barrel, double action trigger pull. But if you're getting beat up and it hurts every time you pull the trigger, pretty soon you're not really paying much attention to the whole hitting things. You're just anticipating getting hurt. So try to get them into a gun that doesn't hurt them, and then try to get them into some training somewhere, a good place. And you as the influencer should have 2 or 3 critical pieces of information at hand any time somebody brings it up. And let me give you a phrase. Rather than saying, well, you need to do this. People may or may not respond well to that. And I'm probably more guilty than anybody. I tend to do that. But try doing this. Start off with, well, have you considered? That's a pretty good phrase to use. Have you considered that you might want to get some training? And that opens the door, okay? Just something there. Let's talk to Bob on line 2 in Kentucky. Or I think it's Kentucky. Hey, Bob.
Hello, sir. How are you? I wasn't expecting to talk to you. I called and spoke to the lady there, and I was at Sportsman's Warehouse this afternoon, and there was a young lady behind the counter. I was buying some AR stuff, and she was wearing a Gun Talk hat.
I know that lady. Yes, we gave her that hat. Yes. you want one of our hats? I'll tell you what we're going to do, Bob. I'm going to give you a hat. If you'll just stay on the line, Michelle, get Bob's information. We'll get the address. We'll send him a Gun Talk hat. If anybody else wants a Gun Talk hat, you can get them at our website, shopguntalk.com. That's shopguntalk.com. Yeah, Bob, we're happy to send you a hat. That's very cool. Yes, this young lady is a real advocate of Gun Talk, and she wears a Gun Talk hat while she's working behind the gun counter at the Sportsman's Warehouse. Very cool. So that's pretty neat. I forget to mention that we have all sorts of cool stuff at the Shop Gun Talk website. We have DVDs, concealed carry, how to use a 1911, a lot of other things. Check it out, shopguntalk.com. we're back with you. 866 Talk Gun gets you in. If you can't get you in the regular show, we'll get you on the after show. So call us right now. Line 4, Charlie's with us out of Bremerton, Washington. What do you have, Charlie?
Hi, Tom. I just thought you'd be interested in knowing how Ruger's GP144 Special actually shot.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, Davidson online shipped my my local FFL holder. It was about as simple as you can get, but
nice.
It's a wonderful pistol, Tom. You're going to have a great time with yours. I can't think of anything bad to say about it.
How long have you had it?
I just picked it up on Friday. I just got it out to the range this morning.
Now, what ammo were you shooting in it?
Well, just all I had was just some classic 44 Special, I think Winchester, but I had a bunch of hand loads. I have a 44 mag that I shoot 44 Special out of quite a bit.
Right.
It's just a fun gun. There's just something about a big bore 44 Special.
I know.
You're going to really like this sight. I'd say, I've got the over 50, almost 60 eyes going on, and so I'm constantly tilting my head up to look for the bottom part of my bifocals. That nice fiber optic front sight just sticks out really, really well on the back sight. So it was just a great little gun to shoot. I even got a holster from it from a company called MD Whitefield Leather. They're a little one-guy operation out of Texas. I found it online. It showed up the same day that I was able to pick up the pistol. So.
All right, so what was the motivation? Obviously, this is a different kind of a deal. You got this GP100 44 Special from Ruger. It's kind of new. It's different. What motivates you to get this thing?
I wanted the Smith & Wesson 44 Special, I can't remember what it was, 396 or something like that, but it was only made for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I'd found one, used, it was horribly expensive.
Right.
And I do like to reload, so I like to play with my loads. And just having a dedicated 44 Special that is as strong as a Ruger is, to be able to take those loads and play with was just a really appealing kind of thing to have. And it's a lot smaller than my 44 mag.
Well, that's one of the real things that's attractive. It's not a huge revolver, and yet you've got it's a 5-shot, right? 5-shot and 44 Special?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so you've got a 5-shot 44 Special, which you can load up. You can load it fairly stiffly if you would like to, but there's really no point because you're already starting off with a 44 caliber bullet. You're shooting a big old bullet out there. So you can load it light. It's fun to shoot. You could even put snake loads in that son of a gun, which is pretty cool. So it's mighty versatile.
Yeah, it sure is. My hand loads are the 255 grain hard cast, and about 7 grains of unique, and it's kind of a plinker. It's a lot of fun.
There you go. Thank you so much for that range report. You're driving me crazy. You know that. I appreciate that. Thank you, Charlie. By snake loads, by the way, I mean shot loads, where you have shooting birdshot out of your revolver. Pretty cool stuff. So it's just nice. When you go out this week, if you've got an old revolver or even a new revolver, if you go to the range, take it with you. They need to be shot. I have decided this is the year of the revolver. Doesn't mean we're not going to be all over a bunch of semi-autos and everything else that are out there, but just I think it's a good time for us to explore the analog version of shooting, if you will. As we said, we call it a revolver is a Jeep with a stick shift. Just pure fun to go out and run. Take somebody out there with you. Have some fun. If you are able to get in, you want to call me right now. We'll get you on the after show, 866-TALK-GUN. Be sure to check out the after show. Easiest way is with your Gun Dealio free smartphone app for your smartphone. You can listen to it that way. In the meantime, watch your six. Take care of your family. Be careful out there.